Hey guys, Oso Communications, and welcome to my review of Tainted Blood. This is the other film that was on the same screening copy. It was a 2-for-1. I really like this idea. I always have the 2-for-1 thing with, the screening copies that Paramount and like Prism Entertainment used to do. But anyway, this is the other film on the tape, Tainted Blood, starring Raquel Welch, Ali Mills, Joan Van Ark, and Kerri Green from Goonies, and Natasha Gregson Wagner from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie. I don't think from the TV series. And I wasn't expecting much from this film at all. I mean, looking at the cover art, it really looks really cheap. Raquel Welch, I really never really 10,000 BC. She's in a skimpy bikini and there's dinosaurs. That's pretty much all I remember about Raquel Welch. Or I think she was also in that horrible movie. What was it? Myra Breckenridge. But anyway, Ali Mills I remember because from the Wonder Years, she was the mom. Joan Van Ark, Knots Landing. I don't watch Knots Landing. But Kerri Green, I'm like, okay, the girl from the Goonies. All right, that would be interesting to see her in another film than Goonies. And boy, did this film surprise the hell out of me. This is definitely, I would say this is definitely, I didn't mind Fade to Black, but this was, I thought it was a pretty top-notch thriller, made-for-TV thriller. I really did. I mean, there were a lot of nice twists and turns I didn't see coming. Really solid acting performances by the cast almost all the way around the board. The film took chances that I didn't expect for a TV movie to take, and really, it was a captivating, interesting mystery/thriller with a really, fascinating basically fascinating plot going on in it with good acting. And it didn't seem like a TV movie at points for me. It seemed like a really top-of-the-line direct-to-video thriller. And the film is directed by Matthew Patrick, who doesn't seem like, he did a lot of TV movies. Oh, he directed Hider in the House, the film with, he wrote that. No, he directed that one. He's writing a movie called Berserk. He's going to direct that, too. It's in pre-production right now. He directed Hider in the House, and then after that, he directed Tainted Blood. I didn't mind Hider in the House with Gary Busey and Mimi Rogers. That was pretty decent as well. And then, after Tainted Blood, he only did one more movie the same year called Night Owl, which is another TV movie. This time with Jennifer Beals and James Wilder. It was probably another USA TV movie around the same time. But I thought he did a good job of directing the film. The screenplay was by Ginny Sorella, wrote the story, and Kathleen Roll wrote the teleplay. So Raquel Welch as Elizabeth Hayes. She's an author researching a new book, and she's also her own sort of investigative reporter. And she comes across a story of a surprising double murder-suicide, which is actually the opening of the film. There's this clean-cut American boy who you see all of a sudden, I guess you see, like, I think his parents are shot in the head. You see the little glimpses of it. You see him with a gun, and then, like, he walks out in the field, and it's hinted at that he basically shot himself. And so he killed his parents in a double murder and then killed himself. And you're like, what the hell? I mean, it's a pretty ballsy way to start a TV movie. And I got to give it credit for that. And then you introduce to the other characters in the film. You have Ali Mills, who plays the mother of Kerri Green's character, Tori Patterson. And you have a new girl who moves into town, Lissa, played by Natasha Gregson Wagner. And her mother is played by Joan Van Ark. And man, Joan Van Ark plays Queen Bitch in this movie. She's drunk, she smokes, she's a total bitch, she's hitting her kid, doing all this kind of stuff. At first the film I was thinking, oh, here we go. It had an interesting opening with the teenager doing the double murder and killing himself, the suicide and so forth. It was pretty ballsy. But then you get Raquel Welch, and she's investigating people, and it got really kind of slow, and I was like, oh, God. This is like a extended episode of Murder, She Wrote, but let's switch out, oh, come on now. I know her name. Come on. It's Murder, She Wrote. Jesus Christ. How can I not remember her fucking name? Wow. Angela Lansbury. It's not Angela Instead of Angela Lansbury, they replace her with Raquel Welch, who's a little bit lighter on the eyes, but only a little bit. No, I'm not admitting that I have a crush on Angela Lansbury. I'm just saying they're both beautiful women in their own right. So, then basically, Raquel Welch investigates this family. They have this controversial sort of thing they're trying to put in the movie that, some people are saying, well, the only reason why that kid went crazy is because, his parents didn't beat him. I'm like, what? That doesn't work. Beating the kid's only going to make him even more crazy. But anyway, the film then, whenever the film went away from Raquel Welch and her investigative reporting, I really was drawn in by the sequences with Kerri Green and her family. And I thought Kerri Green did a really good job as acting in this film. And I also thought Natasha Gregson Wagner, who is actually the daughter of Natalie Wood and Robert Wagner, I thought she did a good job too in this film. And even the supporting cast members, Joan Van Ark played a great mother. The husbands in the film didn't have a lot to really do, but they weren't horrible. I think Richard Gross played Commander Drew, who was the husband of Joan Van Ark. Reminded me of Dr. Phil. He really didn't do much. Then you have Tom Ashworth. That's another guy who played the other. I'm trying to remember who played the guy who's the. Is it Artie? Maybe it's Artie. Maybe it's Artie. Louis Arquette. No, that's not Louis Arquette. Artie's a different guy. He's not the guy. I can't remember for sure who it was. Oh, Commander Drew was Richard Gross. That was the guy who was okay. Yeah, that was the other guy. It was the Drew guy. I can't. It doesn't show me who the actor was who played Mr. Patterson, but I thought he did all right. So basically, what happens is the film goes along. You notice that Raquel Welch is digging and finding this information about how the kid who killed his mother and his father and killed himself has a twin sister. So she's trying to find out who this twin sister is. And that's basically this whole idea of the film. It's called Tainted Blood because Raquel Welch is believing that this is a genetic problem, a genetic, mental deficiency or so forth that caused this kid to kill his parents and to commit suicide. And it's carried over through genetics, hence Tainted Blood. And she's trying to find out who the sister is. And the film does a good job hiding the true identity of this sister, who it is, until the very end. And I'm actually not going to give it away because I really don't want to. But I'm just saying they do a really good job being ambiguous with it and make you believe one thing, which is what I thought, okay, it's not going to go for the obvious route and have this actress be the killer. They're going to do the other actress. And then they ended up doing something completely different and was not what I was expecting at all. And got to give you kudos for that movie. That was a really good job. Nice twist. But basically what happens is it really starts to get interesting when a really brutal sequence, intense sequence for a TV movie. Not really gory, but still intense in its own right. This is after Joan Van Ark has literally lost her mind, flipped her lid, and is so pissed off at her daughter, Lissa, her adopted daughter, because you find out that she's adopted, and so is Kerri Green's character. So you have this sort of 50-50 chance who is the twin sister of the brother who committed these murders. Who is it? And like I said, the film does a good job being very ambiguous about it and putting you on different trails and put you on this one trail and you think that's it, and then it just... Yeah, I thought it did a good job, hiding its true intentions, so to speak. So, because I didn't figure it out in the first 30 minutes, which is definitely a huge plus for this type of film. So what happens is Joan Van Ark loses her shit. She's like, you can't hang out with, I don't want to see you, hanging out with that girl anymore, with Kerri, with the Tori. And she's like, but she's my friend, oh, screw it, and she's hitting her kid and everything. And actually Kerri Green tries to reach out to her new friend, and she's a loner too, and she hasn't had that many friends. And you also get to see sort of kind of screwed up side of both characters. Both Natasha Gregson Wagner's character, Lissa, seems a little bit unbalanced, and so does Kerri Green's character, because she literally almost breaks her brother's arm for looking at her diary. She's always, look at my diary. It's like, ah. And so they look at your diary. They're like, man, do not fuck with Kerri Green. She'll break your fucking arm. She'll kick your fucking ass in this movie. And that was just a different sort of touch. She's got a good taste in music. She listens to heavy metal, and there's a good, nice little song she was listening to when she actually had listened in the car, and then again pulled over the cops. And that's really when the whole relationship starts to fall apart, and Lissa's mother starts really getting in on, don't hang out with this girl, she's a bad influence, whatever. And then it gets to the scene where Tori tries to basically reach out to Lissa, knocks on the door, Lissa opens it, she's like, I can't talk to you, you're not supposed to be here. She's like, but come on, stand up for yourself. And they're talking a little bit in the driveway, and she's like, you can't be here, oh no. And then her mother, Joan Van Ark, shows up, and then she basically is like, get out of here, how dare you do this to me. And she slaps Lissa, and you're like, man, this isn't right. And then the next shot, and the next few sequences, like I said, her work gets really intense. You don't see who the killer, you don't see who this person is. You know it's a girl, but you don't know who it is, because it does a good job hiding the fact. See somebody picking up a gas can. They start pouring gas on the floor. Joan Van Ark and her husband are in bed together, and you see the lock get turned from the outside, so they basically are getting locked in their room. You see gasoline, go underneath the door. See somebody light a match, drop it, and then it just, just the whole room goes on fire. The father is lit on fire in a full body burn. Practical. It's a real fire. And I thought it was really intense, because it was, I just thought it was really well handled and harrowing and pretty terrifying, because they're in this enclosed room and it's literally engulfed in flames. So then there's this arson investigator who tries to investigate things, accusing Lissa, and she ends up in the care of Kerri Green's family. And then things start going weird, stuff starts happening. Kerri Green loses her, shit when she thinks her brother, looked at her diary again and smacks him in the face. I'm like, what? She's definitely got her problems too. You have this sort of thinking that Lissa is the killer, because soon after she meets up with the arson investigator, he dies. So you're like, what is going on here? And then you get this you get Raquel Welch still trying to dig at the truth. She ends up finding out about who Lissa is, who the adopted child is, who she thinks she is, so to speak. And she goes to the Patterson home, and Mrs. Patterson's like, get out of here, I'm not gonna, put up with this. She leaves for a little bit. What happens is the Pattersons eventually had enough. This Lissa character is tearing them apart. It's made it hard on them, because, she ended up, it's causing a lot of problems, a lot of strife and grief in the family, because, Kerri Green, Tori slapped her brother in the face right in front of her mother, and she's doesn't want to put up with that, so they put her up for they send her off to social services again. She slips out of social services grasp. I don't know, she's really slippery, and she comes back to the house. She's acting all crazy, and then you get the climax where the tables are turned, things aren't what you think they are, and I'm not going to give it away. And I just gotta say, I really enjoyed this film. Really engaging, interesting, well acted, made for TV thriller with a pretty good climax I wasn't expecting. And also, if you really like Kerri Green, check this out, because I think she does a fantastic job acting, as well as everybody else pretty much does as well. So anyway, I really don't know what to say, folks, except I was going to rate Tainted Blood out of 5 stars. I'm going to give it 4.5. I really enjoyed this.